Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today we are making our very own Galbi, which is grilled Korean short ribs. Sound good? Let's get started.
Now, if you couldn't tell, guys, it's pretty obvious. I forgot to hit the record function on my mic, so I'm doing this after the fact. Now, to make a good Galbi, our first step really is to make a good marinade. And to do so, we are going to start with some soy sauce. Then add in a whole bunch of brown sugar, some mirin, which is basically like a sweet rice wine, a bunch of minced up garlic, some water, some sesame oil, and then lastly a little bit of black pepper. And then probably the most important piece here would be our Asian pears. Now, as you can tell, these are not Asian pears. Since I couldn't find Asian pears anywhere, I went with a Fuji Apple, which is a pretty close substitute. If you can find Asian pears, that's what you want to do. If not, just dice up a good Fuji Apple, and that will get the sweetness that we're looking for. Now, obviously, there's a whole bunch of brown sugar, so let's mix this all together nice and good, get everything together. And this is what we're going to use for our marinade. Now, what I have here are about 4.5 pounds of Flanken style short ribs. If you've never seen these before, it's pretty obvious that they're cut a little bit differently. A lot of times when you get ribs, you're getting them, with the whole section of the rib and the meat between them. This is cut the opposite direction. It actually makes for a good finger food. And they are pretty uncommon in the Northeast, but I think they're pretty popular in different parts of the country. Now, as we look through these things, I can see there's a decent amount of hard fat that I'm just going to pull off. You could leave it on and cut it off after you cook it, but you know what? We don't really want to eat it, so I'm just going to take it off. It'll be easier than trying to eat around it in the future. If you buy Galbi from like a restaurant, they'll probably leave it on there. But if you can select ribs with more meat than fat, that would be your go-to. We don't need fat for this cook. But I'm just going to take off a whole bunch here. Now that we have them all trimmed up, it's time to get them into our marinade. So you know the drill. Just toss it into the bag and make sure everything gets completely coated down. In big marinades like this, I like to kind of massage the meat a little bit, get as much of that liquid in there as I can. As far as marinade times, guys, you can do a couple hours or you can do overnight. On these, I'm doing overnight. I want to get as much in there as I can. I wouldn't go longer than 24 hours. It'll start to melt the meat, basically. But anything from like 18 hours down to maybe 5 is probably ideal. A little bit longer gets more of that flavor into the meat, which is what we're looking for. So, just like this, it's going to go in my fridge. I'm going to keep flipping it over and over, when I think about it, and let everything just get nice and coated down.
Marinade is over. It's time to sear these suckers. I have my charcoal grill going rip-roaring hot, as hot as you can get, and we are going to just reverse sear these. I'm going to get them on the hot side, get a nice char on either side, and then we're going to move them to the indirect side to come up to temperature. If you're following along at home, I basically just seared these off with the top open. Now I'm just going to turn the grill grates in 360 degrees, get our beef on the indirect side, and then I'm going to close this sucker and just let them come up to temperature. Reverse sear again, guys. Now you guys saw how I made this Galbi. The real thing is the marinade, getting that right, getting enough flavor into the meat. And then the ribs you're looking for are these Flanken style ones, which cut them into nice 1-inch kind of size chunks. And then when you grill them up, you can either go all the way to that 180, 200 degree mark you do with short ribs usually, so it falls apart, or you can cook it more like a steak. What I did is the reverse sear on the Weber kettle, so I let them get a nice crisp on one side, and then brown them up to temp on the other. And I just cut off a piece. You can see we got some beautiful looking steak here. That looks incredible. I'd say that's probably a medium rare, maybe a little bit less, which is the way I want it. And the smell, guys, I know I say the smell is always incredible, but the smell really is incredible on these. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you can probably tell by now that I love Asian food. So it's time to give this the old-fashioned chomp and see how we did. The flavor on this is pretty darn complex, guys. You have that salt from the soy sauce, but you also have so much sweetness from the brown sugar, the apple, which again, if you watch back the rest of the video, should do pears if you can find it. The mirin, everything really comes together, and the flavor is really, really good. Finding Flanken ribs in New England is not super common, so I had to buy them online. But if you live in an area of the world where you can get these on the regular, absolutely give this a try. This is really, really good, and we are absolutely going to make this in the future. I'm super excited to eat this tonight. We have a bed of white rice with some broccolini, gonna put some sesame seeds and some green onions on top, and it's gonna be perfect. If you're looking just to grill up something on a weeknight and you have access to finding these easily, 100% this should be a weeknight cook. If you wanna try and make these on a weekend and you have to special order them, highly recommend it. These are absolutely delicious. Guys, if you could do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, and most importantly, please cook something absolutely fantastic, and I will catch you on the next UFOBBQ. Bye-bye.